Excuse me, workshop number 4. We're glad that you are all here, those joining us in council chambers, as well as those joining us on our YouTube channel this evening. As a reminder, all of these meetings are on YouTube, so you can tune back through and watch 1 through 3. We do have the presentation at our May meeting, and then we'll be presenting again in June and voting on the budget in June. So with that, I will turn it over to Rob.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. And I'll reiterate, pleasure to present the final budget workshop. The next meeting will be the public hearing. So we'll present at the council meeting in that public hearing forum where we'll have public comments. You'll see final manager's recommended budget. Then we'll sit on that, take those comments back after the May meeting and adopt in June. However, tonight we will see several things, if I can get this to work.
Lee broke it. It worked a minute ago.
Yeah. Okay. First, we're going to see the results of our council exercise that we did, looking at all of the projects and programs that we put before you between the last budget meeting and tonight. We'll talk about those consensus items, which ones we still don't have a strong consensus on, and discuss those in tonight's meeting, hopefully to get really a final say on those. Is that something we push till our next retreat and go through that in the next budget process, or is it something that we want to really pursue in this budget? We'll have our financial models. Basically, what does the financial model look like right now? And I would say our budget is 99.9% done from a financial standpoint. There's some nuance that we can still adjust in there, but we're very confident in our financial models. Go through our budget season graphics, look at the fee schedule that we're proposing, make sure that everyone is good with that. And then finally, the wrap up for this evening, that'll just be open discussion. Anything that wasn't covered before we get into the final MRB. I will say at the end of this evening, we'll be full bore ahead on presenting the manager's recommended budget. So we're not going to really leave here, at least staff doesn't plan to leave here without having consensus one way or the other on the handful of things that we have. So we will make sure in that wrap up area that we all understand the path forward. From a process standpoint, you can kind of see the hours that we've put into this so far. A ton of hours that you don't see on here, right? These are the open to the public hours that we've had here in this room where we're presenting all this information. However, all of our department heads have spent weeks on analyzing their budget, coming up with proposals, refining them based on the feedback, as well as the homework that you all have done. I see everybody has their budget binder with them. That's a lot. That's not covered in this, right? So at the end of this, we're open to the public. We're engaging with the public for 20 to 25 hours. However, I would say, when we look at man hours from a staff standpoint, we have 400 to 500 hours just in producing this, as well as the hours you're spending at home, spending on the phone, sending in emails. So we really take a lot of pride in all the effort that we put into it, and really proud of the product that we have for you tonight. Today is kind of that council budget exercise results. What it's not is a final budget. We do have, a great recommendation for you, but we can change it tonight. We can change it in May. We can change it right up until June. We don't like to get to that point. We really want to understand what we have from this room this evening. That way, when we put this out to the public, there are changes that are reasonable to make if we don't adopt a budget in June. We're not like the federal government where we can kind of kick the can. July 1st, we just don't operate. So I don't like to get to a scenario where we're giving ourselves, a week or so. I've seen several communities in this county do that, where they've had to pass a budget maybe June 30th on a special meeting, on a 3-4, 4-3 vote. That's not the type of position we want to put you guys in. And so we try to make sure that we're spending plenty of time getting these results and making sure that we have a good consensus moving forward. I'm going to have Lee go over the next section, which will be the council exercise parts, but before he goes over, the results of all of that, I wanted to remind everybody how the buckets we break this into when we analyze it. So a strong denial, and we have 8 electeds in here. If only 1 or 2 folks are in support of something, we just put that into a, we'll look at that later bucket, right? If 6 of our 8 electeds are like, no, I'm not for that, it's not really worth the time. We'll put that on budget retreat and, future workshops and try to vet those a little bit better. When we get into that 3 to 5, one way or the other, even if we have 4 people on this board that say, yes, I want to do that, and 3 that don't, we still bring that back to the board because we think that's a coin flip, right? Somebody might feel really strongly. Maybe one of those that are supporting it don't have enough information, or vice versa. So that moderate approval is really what we look at discussing tonight in here. And then the significant approvals, 6 or 7 members are for something. We, again, put that right into the budget, and we say that's a strong consensus that everybody wants to go do that. It's already funded in this budget. We can talk about significant approvals, strong denials, or the moderates, but from a staff standpoint, we're just really trying to focus on getting those, 3, 4, and 5 middle grounds and making sure we know what we're doing there moving forward. But everything that's significant approval is funded. Everything that's been a strong denial is not in the budget. And if we're going to make any changes to that, tonight's the night to do it. Lee, do you want to take it from there and go over the rest?
See if I don't break it today.
Are there any questions before Lee goes on to?
Hey, Rob, one thing that might be helpful, I don't know if we have anybody here from Casey's staff, but when we get to that point, it would be nice to see a summary, no tax increase, 4 major projects funded, just some headlines that we could carry out and know, because, I don't know if the public's going to go through this, but if
We're already working on it.
Good deal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you everyone for having me tonight. I'm going to go through these, try to go through them at a decent clip. I know all of you spent a lot of time in extreme detail, so none of this is anything that was not on your exercise, so it should be familiar to everybody. But there are a few things I wanted to point out as we go through, so we're just not flipping through slides too fast. The first one here is the revenues. This is where we asked everyone, what do you want to do with the property tax rate, the solid waste fee that we currently charge, and then we always have that license plate fee. A lot of our area municipalities and then those neighbors do charge that fee. We haven't traditionally, but we have that out there just to see if y'all are ever interested. What you can see here is it was a unanimous agreement that we stay with the tax rate as it is at 41 cents, and then we keep the solid waste fee at $10 as it currently is. So no changes were made by anyone here for those two, and that is how the budget is all built around.
And that was unanimous. So we were happy to see that we had very clear consensus, no tax increase, no changes to fees, stand pat. We all know the issue we've talked about with the state legislature, where there is some unknowns there. That's something we can adjust to, but certainly no increases is something we committed to 3 years ago, and going through the 4-year reval process, and looks like the board was all in consensus on that.
So next we'll go into the operations. Here you'll see these are some specific ones we pulled out for you to consider. Again, going into this, all of these items were in the budget that we presented to you. So all of these you can see either strong or unanimous approval. So all of these were in the budget and will stay in the budget. I did want to just point out, as you can see, most of these were unanimous approval on both sides. You have all the council votes on the left, and then we include the mayor and council on the right side. You'll see there's about 5 of these that have some strong approval. So again, 5-2, overwhelmingly approved. But just to kind of point out again, so we have some of these items here: the athletic special recognition, the data trust pilot, town center small area plan, and then you'll see the benches at Harris Depot and additional cultural events. All those had a couple of dissents, but overall, again, very positive, all moving forward. Personnel, these, again, this was a very light year on purpose that we didn't put a lot before you relating to this. And so these two items, both small dollar amounts, both were unanimously approved by everyone. Capital, we got a couple of slides here. There was a lot of capital. As everyone knows, we have a lot of stuff going on. Again, this one, as much as the other ones that you saw in the operations, most all of these are either strong or unanimous approval all the way down until you get to the sidewalk program. So wanted just to make sure that that was understood, that currently $100,000 is in the budget that was presented to you. There was a unanimous approval there to keep that $100,000 in place for the sidewalk program. We gave two options, moving it up to $50,000 increments over the course of a 5-year upgrade there, and both of those had unanimous denial. So for the ADA sidewalk program, we're keeping it at the $100,000. You go down below, this is our first one where we need to get some consensus here. So this is the annual Greenway program. Currently, as has been in the budget for a while, is a $250,000 annually that we have in there. That was unanimously approved. So it's in the budget, it stays in the budget. Just like with the sidewalk program, gave two $50,000 options there. The $350,000, which would have been $100,000 more than we currently budget, had strong denial. So we're off of that one. But the one here that we have moderate denial, that's a 3-4 vote on council, and then 3-5 with the mayor and council. That brings it up to $300,000, so an additional $50,000 for Greenway, and that would be planned to have each year over the next 5 years. So the question would be that we put out to the floor, is there any discussion that we want to have? As of right now, it's in denial, but it's in that moderate area, so it's up for discussion if anybody wants to talk about it.
I mean, I was, personally, I was in favor of it to increase just because of all the positive responses that we're getting from the residents. I mean, rarely do we do very much that gets a lot of accolades. And, you know, from people just actually being on it to using them on a regular basis. We've had folks come and compliment us on it. We even have a special group outside of the town that has formed that's so excited about what we have. So, I mean, to me, it just seemed like it was a no-brainer to continue to grow it as opposed to limiting it.
Yeah, I think,
I wanted to look at it slightly differently. Like, if you think about it, option 2, you have 3 people that voted for option 2, and 2 people voted for option 3. So option 3 would encompass option 2, right?
Yeah.
So those 2 people want at least 300,000, but they actually want even more. They want 350. So you actually have 5 people technically for the 300.
is that how you calculated that, Brian?
The 2 that want the 350 are also counted as wanting the 300 as well. If you want 350, then you want 300 as well, is how I set this up.
Okay, so.
So one
3
person
people.
was not willing to go up to 350.
Yeah.
But they're the same people.
Oh, they are the same people?
They are the same people,
Okay.
yeah.
But those people should not then be counted in the unanimous approval. They should be, if there's 3 people there, there should be, the 250 should be 3-4, I mean 4-3, right?
Well, I looked at it as, if you said yes to the 350, then you were obviously okay with the 250 as well.
Oh.
So that was an automatic yes at any lesser amount,
I
if you went
see.
with the higher amount.
But that's a good point taken.
Yeah.
The way I kind of interpreted it was, I think honestly, the entire room is fine with 350 if we know what we're spending it on. I think the folks that we're held back. We're like, I'm good with the 250. I would be good with 350 if you can give me some more, like, what does that get us? So I think we can get there over the next year and say, okay, what would we do with another 50 or another 100 there? I think we're all intuitively going, yes, greenways are good. Let's do more of that. But what does that really mean? What am I giving up for it? So that was kind of how I read it, just looking at all the feedback from all the forums and trying to kind of triangulate
I
it.
think that's
I
exactly
also,
right.
yeah. I also want to point out that, you know, with this exercise, we're trying to make it so that we don't go into deficit. So, you know, let's say I want this and this and this, but then, you know, like I may have said no on something, but I know everybody else is going to say yes, hopefully, and that will pass. Like the slide before, somebody said no on 8,000 for benches. I mean, they probably only said no because of they're trying to make the numbers work and to say yes on something else, so.
Are you manipulating Brian's system? Is that what you're telling
I know.
me here? Yeah, no, I know exactly.
I know, so,
We all did the same
you know.
thing.
Okay.
I would have to, I think you summed it up right, because I didn't have enough intel to know, what's the extra 50 for? Is it shovel-ready, or are you just gonna go out and find something to spend it on? But if you have $300,000 worth of greenway that can be fueled and take flight in the next year, like, yeah, sign me up. But I didn't understand enough about it to know. And then the second thing, is there any grant money, anything that goes along with this? Are we doubling our money? If we're funding 300, is somebody else gonna fund 300, or is this all us?
Yeah, this is all us, and it's mostly for that opportunity money, right? We fund individual large projects in and of themselves. And then we are also spending $250 on things that come up throughout the year. Hey, can we connect these two sections? Maybe we got a request. Maybe, you know, there's a development going in and they get to a point where they've, you know, finished 80% of it, and there might be a connector in between two. So we tend to do this and couple it with other projects, and this is really our creative greenway monies. So that again, back to why I kind of interpreted it that way, is because I think it's less defined, but it is, there's almost never matching funds with this. We do get transportation greenway funds, but that's usually with a defined project. It's a multi-year project. This is every year, and we put it to kind of the best projects that we can find.
How much did we
in that
spend
year.
last year? How much did we actually spend?
It's a great question. I do not know.
160, something like that?
Yeah.
And then we're probably 2 to 220 this year?
Yeah.
So maybe should we leave it up to, let's say, if there is a good project or there is a good opportunity to use like a certain moment and connect certain streets or something, like if you can still bring it up to us, even if it goes over the, whatever the allocated
Sure.
number.
Yeah, we're happy to bring budget amendment if we have a project that we feel strongly about. And also, you know, not to terrify everybody in the room, but we start doing this again from a staff standpoint in September. And so we start building out justifications, and we'll be starting to take a look again in September on what would we do based on last year's budget process. If we had another 50, if we had 100, what are the things that we have queued up we're not doing now that would accelerate? And so I think we have a couple of opportunities to leave that at the 250 and then bring those to you on a case by case.
Another question. When we have programs like that, like this or ADA or any other programs, and there's a set number, do we kind of build in adjustment for inflation over time, especially if it's a construction? Like if it was 10 years ago, if it was 250, I mean, it shouldn't be that now. So do we have some sort of like mechanism to increase that every year, or no?
We have not historically done that with these couple. We've kind of set those 100 and 250 and left them for a number of years. And then maybe in a process like this, it would jump 50,000 at one time, but we have not indexed those typically.
Because I feel like, you know, we should probably think of that as well, especially when we know prices are going up so much.
I think what Brian's, one of his answers earlier was, you know, last year it was 150, 180, I don't remember what he said, and then this year it's like 220. Next year, we're probably going to max out the 250, and once you run up against that wall, that's when you kind of get into that scenario where we come back to the budget and we go, okay, for years we've been building this program up, now it's at its max. Do we start to allow some of its purchasing power to erode because of the inflationary pressures? Or do we index it up once at 50 and grow into that next, bucket of money? So that's typically how we do these buckets. Projects, they're a whole different animal.
So I'm hearing that everybody, we're still on board with the 250, but I think everybody has an appetite. If there's something ready, that you could come with a budget amendment and we would evaluate it.
Yep.
And we still get our benches.
That's right.
All right.
Okay, this is the second page of the capital here. There's no consensus issues to talk about here, but I did want to point out a few of these programs because there are a few more the more high-profile items that we have. You'll see here the wayfinding signs, Phase 2 was unanimously approved. The Stallings Road roundabout artwork and landscaping, that actually the RFP has gone out, and so this will work out well in tandem. When we get that, we'll be able to get something turned around to you pretty quickly. We've got the Highway 49 and Roberta Road mitigation, the design piece of that, so that had a strong approval on it. Harrisburg Common and streetscape here in front of Town Hall and along Main Street. This was a case where we had 700, request was up to 2 million, and that had a strong approval there.
Can we stop there for a second?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I was one of the no's on it because to me, that seemed like it was a pie in the sky. We really didn't even, other than we saw it in our retreat. I mean, how can I go sign off on this amount of money? I don't know what I'm signing off on.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to go
Along
through.
the same line, like
Yeah.
I've talked to Rob about it at length, like,
I'm willing
I don't even know what that
to
looks
say
like.
no to the
Yeah.
whole budget on that.
Yeah, it would have to go through design, but, we already have 700 now. And I think when we went through our retreat, talking about what could we add to it, when we talked about the historic features of it, right? The historic train, or, adding the water features and really creating that downtown gathering place. If this would have come back 2 to 5 or 2 to 6 in the opposite way, I'd agree with you. But I mean, we did give handouts there. We gave, concepts. I have more tonight. We can flip to them. But I think one of the biggest drivers of this, without a doubt, when we went through our retreats and through the whole budget process, the number one priority on this, when we went through retreat, when we had our budget workshops, was investment in town center and creating revitalization downtown and having, foot traffic here and moving events here and really making sure that Main Street represents kind of for lack of a better term, just a gathering place, right? A center of town. I think Councilman Fall had mentioned, when you take a picture in Harrisburg, you want everyone that sees that picture to say, oh, that's Harrisburg. And so this was that attempt to increase above that. Again, we can flip a bunch of slides.
I mean,
And
we've had no in-depth conversation other than, hey, do you like this? That's great. And I would like to have at least some kind of consultation of, is this going to cause future delays or further issues? Or, I mean, one of the things that we learned when the bonds came forward several years ago for the parks was nobody wanted to write a blank check. And while I see a design here, I'm very challenged by the idea of, could be, maybe, we don't know, let's explore. And for me to write that check to you and say, hey, sure, I'm on board, I'm not. I mean, I haven't seen enough on the paper, I haven't seen enough research done to even know that the numbers are even close.
I did not realize that this was, it had already 700,000 and it was an increase to, and I'm just looking at what my response was, and I think I left it as yes, but now that I'm seeing the details on it, I'd like to say no on that as well.
Could we introduce, I understand, you know, a blank check is scary. The idea that this would require approval, you know, more rigorous than just,
I mean, honestly, Chris, I don't know, were you in favor of closing the road and putting all the grass down? Was Lex? I couldn't tell you. And if you came to me as a resident and go, hey, what's this for? I couldn't tell you.
yeah, I get that, I get that.
1.3 million, I'm sorry, I can't
Yeah,
pony that up.
I think I'm conceptually on board with the idea, but the details need to be worked out before you just sign off on.
That's every
$2
project
million.
we have in our budget.
Yeah,
There's not a single project in here that we're asking for money on
yeah.
that has full design.
Yeah, I think with that proviso, I'm on board. We need to do something. What the something is, needs some rigor.
I've seen more failed attempts for town center without lack of direction. And we need more than just us to go do this. We need another partner. And every single time we've brought in a partner, we've gotten close, they've walked away. And there's a reason they walk away. And it's not us. I know we have the capacity, if we had a partner come in on this and work with us, we could get there. We could find the money. But to approve it now and know we're going solo and hoping for the best,
Well,
I don't think it
going solo.
requires any participation.
I'm not asking for participation. What I'm saying is the effort that we're putting into this needs to be echoed by another partner coming in to do other things besides just this.
My opinion on this is that if you had no other partners, this in and of itself is an exceptional project for the town, that we already utilize this area. Our farmer's market, our art walk, our trick or treat are all in this area, not to mention the programming that Parks has been asked in the Parks Master Plan, and that we've heard a bunch of times through this comp plan process of what can we do downtown Friday nights and Saturday nights? Can we have singer-songwriters? Can we have a gathering place down here? We've had folks approach us with the social district and the different events and tying the businesses up here at Roberta and moving everything downtown. So we don't, now, don't get me wrong, we don't have to do anything in our town center. Bless you. But for 25 years, and I've been here 10 of those with you, Ron, where I've seen the same thing. We're waiting for somebody to come in and do something. Maybe we'll partner with them, maybe we won't. So when it was the 4 acres across the street here, that got right up to the finish line, then we pulled the rug. Tony Zhang project, right up to the finish line, we pulled the rug. We had the town center overlay right up to the finish line, that doesn't go through. I don't know that this detracts from anything that's going to come in, and I also don't think it relies on anything that can come in. I do think it drives foot traffic. I think it creates a gathering space. Harrisburg in general, our downtown is our parks system. When we talk tonight and, you know, the past 4 years, time and time again, people are at Harrisburg Park. They're on our greenways. That's where our folks want to gather. So creating a park place for them to gather in your central business district, similar to what Kannapolis has done with West 6th, I think. I think it's the name of the street, but theirs is more lineal. Concord has gone and redone their downtown. We're in the fortunate position where we don't have to put a bunch of our businesses out of business in order to create this now. If we wait until everything's built up and we come back and we say, well, now we're going to make Main Street walkable and available for nightlife, I think you miss the opportunity. We can certainly put it off. That's not the point I'm making. I just think this does not tie to anything. This is something we can do on our own if we want to.
And so, Ron, I asked quite a few of those same questions the other day about where does our ownership of this property stop? Because that drove my decision for some of the same reasons. I'm not so worried about closing the road permanently. And then when I talked to Rob about it at length, like I think that is a pretty way to slow traffic in the area as well. So that part doesn't bother me. I don't know that I really agree with the examples of when we close the roads, because that's temporary. It's a couple of hours on a Saturday or whatever. I mean, I still have the concern about what does it look like? Do we need to do something? Yes. I don't want to be late to the game, so it's just right in that line of where we are on that.
And to be transparent, we're in the planning phase of this now. It's a matter of how far do we plan in the upcoming year. The council still has to approve renderings, you still have to approve an engineering contract, you still have to approve a construction contract. So there's plenty of opportunity to participate. These renderings exist only because I was frustrated with the renderings that we've gotten so far.
So what's the 2 million for?
I created these myself.
But what's the 2 million for?
For what you see here,
For paper?
a center courtyard.
Mhm.
What you'll see kind of on the edges there are swings like we have at Veterans Park. Knee walls and retaining walls, because we do want to have just some natural bench areas for folks to sit. I think if you look at these, the string lighting, the lamps, the natural vegetation that we'd have out there that's more like natural to North Carolina, so that we could, have our placards and call out different plants. Obviously, you see the gazebo there that could serve as a stage or an entertainment area, and a locomotive like you see at, is that Freedom Park? You can kind of see way back here on the other side. And this really just becomes, an area where, go to the overhead.
So Rob, I got
None of this has to stay how it is. Like, we have this logo and this water feature that can turn on and off. This is inspired by Birkdale. They have a plaza that has water bubblers and fountains, but when they do concerts, they just turn it off and you can just sit out there. So again, this is imagination. This is the way we get there, is just come up with a rendering. If that rendering says, hey, that's worth some further investigation, how much can we realistically spend out here? The $2 million came from Dr. Banks and I's conversation at the retreat, where he said, is this realistic? And I said, yes, within 2 years and under $2 million, but you're going to have to put some money towards it to have that type of momentum to move forward with it. These things do take some momentum.
So I guess I got a question just for clarification, because I think we need to do something, right, for our downtown area. So the 2 million, what will the 2 million get us? Like, what does that look like? Is that the rendering? Is that a redo of the renderings that you did? Like, is that like, getting,
2 million's like construction and everything.
Oh, okay.
That's what we have in here.
I mean, that will, for me, I think that, our community wants that, and to see some kind of movement, right, is needed. Like, I don't know if it looks like this, right, but if we have someone who specializes in this and can do something really nice, I think it will add value to what we already offer for our town, and so I just want to be clear, like, it's not just, we're not spending $2 million still imagining, right, like in this hypothetical. It has to be something that's real.
This is the rough site overlay that our staff has come up with. We spent a lot of time, we have every department working on this project because we do think it's significant to look at all of these features. So, where that gazebo's at, where that water feature's at, where the shade structures are at, where the swings are at, knee wall. Jim Spina came up with the arch. I don't remember when the train first came up, but.
Oh, yeah, I remember the train idea.
But it, that was something that was like, oh, wow. We constantly talk about our heritage and our history and our lack thereof, but I really don't think there is a lack thereof here. It's just telling our story hasn't been done for a long time. Harrisburg has been here in name and in incorporation for 52 years, but as Harris Depot and as a significant historical area, it's been here for 250, 300 years and was one of our first rail stops on westward expansion. So, leaning into that, I do think is significant, and telling that story. And when we go back and look at some of our archives, there is significant stories to tell. So that has been one of our focus that's been pushed on staff, is that, hey, we want to define who we are. We want to make sure that we have art and culture and those things. So the Far Mill, the historic Far Mill project, this and adding to our other parks have all been thought about in that way. I know what you're saying, Councilman Smith, because I've been here the same time where some of these
Well-
projects just go and.
Let me finish then. Because I certainly didn't come with a little bit. I've got time on my side on this one. Veterans Park, free piece of land, let's develop it. Let's turn it into Veterans Park. $750,000, we'll get it done. Grew to like 1.2. Then guess what? What did we just do? We refurbished it. Because we found that it was done differently than what it should have been done. We start on this, and we're gonna go down the same path. We have yet to build a project consistently through first phase that works. We always have to go back. We always have to expand. We always have to do more. I would want, if this is something that we would pursue, I want more understanding of what it is. I mean, you're telling me, you showed us those slides in that retreat. And I'm like, a train? I never heard of a consensus of everybody was on board. I didn't know we were taking a vote. I took it away as, oh, this is something we could shoot for or discuss at a later date. When this showed up on the budget, I mean, and I clearly wrote in my notes, if this is what I think it is, count me out. And I still say, if this is what I think it is, count me out, because we've not done enough work on our end as a council to fully bring this back to the residents and be 110% in and go, we know better than you on this one. I don't think.
Is there an intermediate step that you think is
I think there needs to be
needed?
more discussion and, feedback from the residents as well. You're getting ready to make a huge commitment to an area. I mean, this community here has been very vocal throughout the years. I don't know where they are today, how vocal they are. They may take it and enjoy it, but then again, they may come back and go, you know what? This is too much. I don't know what they're gonna say.
I would be
Well,
surprised if
something-
they didn't like a park.
So I appreciate where you're coming from, because I mean, I feel like you were listening to mine and Rob's conversation about this.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But in hearing you say those things, it makes me think about two things. Our parks plan was very clear that people want more parks. And also want to see something happen in town center. And let me be clear, I was a very strong no to this. But as I have talked to Rob through this and just listening and talking through it more tonight, I'm kind of leaning a teeny bit. But I wonder if this is an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone and understand that your concerns are absolutely valid, that things have not been done well historically. We are very confident in the staff that we have here for everything else. And I don't know if I doubt these are the same people that were here.
It doesn't even have anything to do with the staff.
But-
Government works at the lowest bid.
Right.
Right.
No, I hear you on that. And I don't think, but even with that considered, the projects that have come forth, I don't think have been shoddy projects. So I think that if there is an intermediate step, and I'm not 100% what that looks like, I think that we would miss an opportunity to try and give it a go.
Rob, I think original 600,000 or 700,000 was allocated only because we got that free ARPA money. We had to use it, and we said, okay, there was this project up in the clouds that we were thinking about. Lee, I think you mentioned that, like, you wanted to do something around town center for a while. So that's how that original money was allocated. I don't know if any of us envisioned that we're just gonna like spend so much money on that. And then as far as people, using it and enjoying it, to me, it seems like so much money for a small space that's, I don't know, it's just very hard to swallow.
I mean, and I think that there's also, so again, everybody's clear, I said no to this. But now I'm like thinking it through. If we do this, then does that drive an opportunity to help Ryan when we're trying to drive the economic development piece?
You don't know. We're
And
just
I know
guessing,
that
but we're already
that's what-
gonna throw money on it?
Right.
That's what
Well-
doesn't make sense.
And that's why I said, I'd be a buyer if this was our part in having another partner there. If this is what we were gonna do, and they were gonna bring in this building and that building and develop this and develop that, 110, I'm in, because I've seen every presentation. But to do this, and we hope that it turns into something better,
Maybe we need to push this to next budget, and for now, like, get Ryan's input, get those folks around here input, like, what people want to see, instead of like us trying to like just come up with something and just rush to pass it through. Like, can we just move it out of this budget and put it to the next year's for now, and kind of wrap our brains around what it's going to be?
I can do anything that you all tell me to. 6 out of the 80 has said, let's move forward with it. So I think it's really a conversation.
I'm going no, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But she was a no
Oh, are
and
you
flipped
going
back,
yes
so
or
now
no?
it's still,
Patrice,
it's still
who
6.
Are you
So
flipping yes to
really,
yes
we'll do
now
anything
officially?
that
I don't
you
know,
want.
let's circle
Yeah.
back. I don't know where I
even
am right
even
now.
at
So-
even at 5.3, like, we just need a clear direction. You know, from a staff standpoint, we hear invest in town center, do some things that bring people down here. Let's have more events down here. Let's do all that. Ryan is in every single meeting that we went through. We've talked about the opportunities here with the first floor of Novant being vacant, the different businesses that would want to locate in there next to this. You know, we've had lots of different economic, from a staff standpoint, we have vetted it. What the top end number is, we've got to bid it, to your point. This could be $1 million. It's not going to go over 2. That's our top cap. We still have several steps to get there. If we're not comfortable going to those next steps, then we're not comfortable. But, you know, we're giving our best effort to bring you guys things to say, is this something that you're comfortable with? Up until this point, the only way we've been able to describe it to you is with words. I've walked it with a few people. I thought this conversation might happen at this meeting, so I'm like, let me get something visual so we can at least understand what we're talking about. And then if the council doesn't want to do it, we don't go any further. Again, tonight's approval doesn't say, hey, we're going to also approve all the contracts along the way. If the community doesn't like this, or people in this room aren't comfortable with it, don't do it.
there's enough dialogue to say that not everybody's on the same page. It wasn't, I mean, Altine made her comment, Latricia, you've made your comment, I've made mine, and we all seem to have something here or there, but we don't have everything. And I think for me, it just felt like I was committed to something that I didn't really understand that I was committed to. Just based on, oh, do you like that? Yeah, well, you're on board. No, I'm not on board. I want to have more discussions. I want to understand what is their ramifications. I mean, I think we just need to have more discussions around this and see where everybody really truly sits on it.
Is your concern more about the road being closed?
My
Is that the big-
concern is the whole project in general.
Okay.
I mean, we have too many residents today that go line by line through budgets and go, what the heck? Why'd you get on board with this? I can't tell them why I got on board, because I didn't get on board, because I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a seller of it. And I, for the life of me, can't give them a reason that we should be supporting this. Other than, oh, it sounds great. We've got a roundabout up there we really need to focus on. And whatever money we're gonna need, I'd rather see us get all that stuff taken care of. Let's come back and take care of our own once we get all that worked out. Because it could be that we would need this road. I don't know. And the road really has no bearing to me one way or the other. It's more of, this town center has sat for far too long. I get it, but we need another player in the situation, because we clearly can't buy the land. We've tried that. It went from 12 million to 13 million to crazy numbers. And my ask is, let's take a step back and let's walk through it a little bit more and have some real heavy discussions of what's in, what's not in, what ramifications does this cause, how long are we looking at for the roundabout, all those pieces.
Roundabout's a funded separate project.
I understand it's funded and it's separate, but we have yet to work through it from a perspective of what does it do to our traffic? Is this gonna be needed? I don't know.
Oh, you
We're
mean the
always telling
connection to-
residents to avoid 49, right? We tell them to go down through Harrisburg Estates, or whatever, Old Harrisburg, to avoid going down 49, to avoid all the traffic. This is one of your major arteries of folks cutting through. You know, they're coming from over there to go to McDonald's, to go into Aldi's, going to whatever. I mean, I had the same conversation with my daughter. She's like, don't close the road. And I was like, the road is the least concern. I said, because you've got whatever that is, Physicians Boulevard in front. You can go that way.
Yeah, there's plenty of other
And it's main street.
routes.
How would you,
Right.
Mike,
But if
did
you
you want
want
to
your-
say something?
I mean, for me, I voted no on this because I wasn't at the retreat. But, I didn't have nationally all this. I think I was ready to approve the 700 to go through this extra 1.3. Is this something we think we're gonna be able to do in the next year? Or is this something we could go ahead with the 700,000? Do the pre-work that we're talking about to get more information on what this is actually gonna cost us. Come back next year's budget meeting and say, this is what we're looking at for the information that maybe you're looking for. Is this something we can budget for next year and add that increase in? That was the reason for my no vote on this.
Yeah, and so the answer is yeah, we can do those in steps. The only reason that we have the larger number here is that we've gotten the feedback in the previous years that, you know, don't give me partial numbers, right? Tell me what you think this is gonna be, because we don't wanna come back in with a second phase or third phase. So, you know, let me know if this is gonna be a $5 million project. Don't just tell me the engineering's gonna be 500,000. And then we do 500, and then we come back another year and say, well, we need another 4.5, Mike, because you already spent the 5. So the short answer is, I think you can move forward with a design on a bigger project with the money that's already allocated. I just don't want to get in a situation with y'all where we've designed something that's not fundable. Not to say you have to fund it now, but I think you need transparency on it, that like, if 700 is our kind of top line number, it's not this, right? We're doing a different style of project at that number than something you see here. 700, we're gonna do some sidewalks, we're gonna put street lights up, we're gonna do the minimal. There's not a train, a water feature, those types of things. But if we want to go with a more Harrisburg-style park, where, you know, people come into Harrisburg, they know what they expect, I think this is more in tune with that branding. But yeah, we can certainly do it in steps, and we would do it in steps like that regardless. I don't think we could construct this in a year, right? And we're not going to be going to construction in the spring of next year.
And I think when I removed that out, that money went to capital reserves. I think on mine, so I think that money was still put back for, if we have these discussions next year, if we come back and have some plans and have it drawn up, or we have to do, we can approve the documents for research. We can do that in that 700,000. That was my thought process.
Right. What's that?
Or if a partner comes in play.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath on the partnerships, but yeah, we can certainly, that can certainly be a method. If the full board wants to go that route, we can go that route. We can pause it completely. We can move forward with the whole thing. This is really just a board decision. We're capable of doing all of those things.
I think what I'm hearing is we want more information. I get that. I don't know if we regret Veterans Park as much as we regret not getting it right the first time and learning from that mistake. But I think if anybody looks back, even though we had to refurbish it, I was so proud of Veterans Park, I didn't have to live through all the history of doing it
No,
wrong.
and please understand, my words were, I regretted it. It was a free park, it was a free piece of land
Yeah.
donated by the developer. We were like, you know, we had talked about having veterans back here. Why not have it there? But a lot of things went wrong, and it was, people were like, oh, well, we gotta have it open by Veterans Day. Nobody looked at timelines and everything else. So now we're rushing, and then we're doing poor work along the way, plus we're taking the lowest bidder. And again, the people that were involved are no longer here.
Yeah.
So I'm not, you know, contaminating any of our staff. I'm just saying that we don't have the best history. And if you go back to Rob makes the comment that we had the developer who wanted to build phase 1, but he wouldn't commit to phase 2, and I forget, that was after, what's his name's plan? This was the Kannapolis builder. We were gonna do something, you know, we wanted to get them to commit to something in town center, some type of artwork or whatever. And this is what I'm talking about. When you have a partnership and they're coming in to do their stuff, these are the things that we can offer up that we're gonna do to enhance their product and their work, as opposed to, we're just gonna go for it and hope somebody else comes in. So.
But how long have we been waiting on a partner?
The same amount of time.
Well, that's my point, right? So it's like,
It-
I don't, but what
The
I'm.
issue is greater than just the partner.
No, but I'm just asking.
The issue is the landowner plays games and the landowner refuses to negotiate. We've seen it 3 times over, that he changes the deal. Even the deal where the town was gonna loan the developer money, he changed the interest rates and he changed the agreement 2 days before the deal was to go through.
So Ron, do you think that this could potentially attract people to town center, but you're worried about what the landowner's gonna do with
No,
the projects?
well, there's a time and a place for it, and right now is not the time nor the place. I think if you had a developer in the wings that was looking to come in and do whatever else, and we were talking about this, it would be the time, it'd be the place. Right now, I mean, we could have 6 more Meineke stuck here. We don't know. It's whatever the landowner decides he wants to do.
Is the 700 already there? So this is just for the additional 1.3? Okay.
And what about businesses' perspective on closing this road completely? The more I think about it, it seems that it would be nice to have that open and only close it periodically for events.
The businesses we've talked to love this idea. This gives their, well, patrons, because they're all different types of businesses, it gives them something to do other than just come to their business, right? So if you're coming down to Rocky River Coffee, right now you can sit at Rocky River Coffee. With this, you can then walk down here with your ice cream or your coffee and read a book on a swing under a tree near a water fountain and
Yeah.
enjoy.
But are people prepared to pay $2 million for it? That's what we gotta, because I feel like we're gonna be
Only you guys can answer
really
that question.
questioned.
Well, what was, I don't remember, on the comprehensive plan, what did people say about this? Let's go back to the data. What did they wanted? I don't remember right off.
I think so.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
the devil is in the details.
Oh, yeah,
People-
it is.
People said they wanted greenways, and everybody voted against increasing the budget. That number was there 10 years ago, so we're obviously not listening exactly. so-
Well, no, because the last year we spent, what, 100, what'd you say?
160 last
160,
year.
and this is what was that, 300?
3, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the money's there, so I don't think that's an issue, but what I'm saying is that we always talk about the data and what the people want, right? What they've said they want it, this is our effort in doing that, right? Just like the parks, just like, increasing what we do for 4th of July and all the other things, like, we don't wanna listen to them over here, but not over here, like, and I personally don't think people wanna wait until a partner comes before we do something, because then we'll just be waiting for maybe an infinite amount of time.
Well,
So then wait. So then do we not address, it's kind of like, and I get it, and to Ron's point, I don't want us to waste money doing things twice. With the saying says, measure once, cut twice, or something like that. But, well, you know what I mean?
But we
Right,
got you.
yeah, measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once.
That's why
So
you get
like,
paid on that.
we don't want to waste money because they're really going to be mad, right? So we just got to make sure we work out the details and get it right. But I think when it becomes right and it's something like this, people are going to enjoy it. You know, yeah, are we going to be inconvenienced? Probably, but I think it will be a nice thing, and it will tell the community, we heard you, and we are working towards doing what we said that you wanted. And so, yeah.
My take on it, this may be a great thing, but I feel like there's a recession coming. There's gonna be a drop. So, you know, like Farmington, they planned it 10, 15 years ago, and then the drop happened, and now it's finally starting to come back around. We may be planning this and doing this, but then maybe there won't even be any Meineke coming in. There's not gonna be much development. We don't know. So I don't know if I'm prepared to allocate this much to this when we have a lot of other needs.
So, can I have one thing, and I like, look, I'm in favor of this. I don't know if you could spend $2 million if your life depended on it in a fiscal year, so that takes care of some of that. But maybe a public workshop where people came in and we said, here are 3 designs, what do you think? Get on board, I like this, I don't like that. It was funny when I was coming in here tonight, there were kids out there playing in an open field. And they were just, you know, I think I use that analogy, don't build the sidewalks until you see where the paths are worn down. They're telling us they want to play right outside of this town center. There's nothing out there now, a gazebo.
Yeah, but
And there's
this
kids
isn't
out there
big
playing.
enough. I know which field you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, we don't own that land. So
Yeah.
if someone comes in, they can build something, and you think, so
But
you
it-
want now kids kicking balls around here?
But it doesn't have to look just like this. This was Rob, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna get someone. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be something a little bit more sophisticated than.
But I looked at the map.
I feel like
and
everybody
this-
liked it until I drew this
No,
picture.
no.
No.
This looks beautiful, but I looked at the map, and this space is smaller than the Veterans Park. So it's like, it's a small space. Like, I don't think there's gonna be as much reuse out of it for the
I'm
money.
looking through this through the lens of, if we all woke up 15 years from now, would we look back and say, boy, I wish we'd never done that. I can't imagine a scenario, unless it was a road thing or an Indian burial ground or a radioactive field or I can't imagine we would say, I wish we hadn't done that.
Yeah, but all you do is blocking the road and spending money. You can do that next year, the year after, the year after. It's not like somebody will sell the road from under you.
Yeah. But we haven't. And this is us. And this is our moment.
So what does 700 get us right now? Because that's already in the
Yeah,
budget.
so I think we have 3 options, and, you know, we've had what I think now sounds like a 5 to 3, with 5 wanting to pursue this, 3 not. I think we have 3 options. We have the 700, and we can just, you know, do streetlights, plant some more trees, kind of do the best we can up and down, leave the road open, and talk about this at some other time, or just never do it. We also can just move ahead with, say, let's allocate up to 2 million, go into design, start doing some things, and we, for the most part, like this, but we'd like to see the public come in and comment on it, or we'd like to give you some suggestions. I think that the third option, somewhere in between those, is to say, let's use the 700 pursuing a concept like this, and come back for the additional amount once we have a concept we're all on board with. So I really think you either abandon this type of concept and just stick with what we have. You go full bore and say, I just like this, or that middle ground that, you know, Councilman Thevenin kind of mentioned. Can we just start the design, start the public engagement, and then see what type of money we have, and then we can make a decision. Hey, do we want to go more or less? Whatever. Maybe it's more specific. Maybe this comes in at $1 million, and everybody feels a lot better. Maybe it prices out much higher, and you don't.
I like the third option, and I'm bullish on this because if this were New York City, this would be our Central Park, and people would come get their wedding picture out here, take a picture of their dog, and say this was Harrisburg, and this is where, you know, I got my ice cream and proposed to my girlfriend, and, you know, all of that. There's no place to go. I mean, we're getting there with
That's where I was
Farmville
going.
and other places, but it gives us character. And it's lasting. And if you take $2 million, it sounds like a lot of money. But if the life of this park is 100 years, that's $2,000 a year. I'd pay $2,000 a year for this
Yeah,
for the next
but
100
this
years.
space is so small, there's gonna be so many people there, no one's gonna come take pictures there, because there's gonna be all these people.
I don't know. I took my
there.
daughter's wedding pictures in Concord because they have a little garden that's a heck of a lot smaller than this, and I drove over there.
Yeah, but Concord is huge, and they have lots and lots of parks, and they're
Yeah.
empty. Have you seen, like, it's gonna look like, you know, like the playground in Harrisburg Park, like, there's gonna be people there all the time.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
If we do more of them, though, we hope to get them spread out, right? So if we do historic Farm Mill, if we do this, if we keep adding to Farm Mill Park, if we do a Southern Park, and then we, continue to do the improvements that we've done to Harrisburg Park, the hope is that all the new people that move here aren't overcrowding the existing facilities. I think it is hard to look at something from a conceptual, even if it's just me drawing it, and say, yes, I'm fully on board with that. I just think it's that we're in that, we're in that twilight zone of a project where it's like, we either,
Invest in it.
what we design next, we really need to know how much effort we can go in. There's no sense designing something if we want to spend 500,000 versus 5 million. Those are completely different instructions that we would give the engineering firms.
And Rob, can you revisit what your third option again was?
Yeah, so the first two were just
Don't do it.
don't do it or go full board. The third was pursue this concept, but not settle on that 2 million. So go ahead and say, let's spend the 700 on engineering with this concept in mind. But we're
Public
gonna get
input.
feedback from the
Public
council
input.
and the
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
and
Okay.
before we set a dollar amount.
Now, the
So-
only irony about all of this, and I'll hear Councilman Smith on this, we're gonna make the unreasonable landlord's land more valuable next door, whether he likes it or not. It will be a magnet, I'm telling you.
But I
And it
think
might
that's-
not take for 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, it's like, oh, I wanna be next to that park. So 12 million just went to 20 million.
Well, it's not, I mean, we've recognized we're not the buyer.
Yeah.
When he went over 12, when
They
he went to the
actually-
numbers that he went to, we're not a player in that space.
No.
So it could lure that partner in.
Yeah.
I get that, but, for me, it was 12 years, 12 budgets.
No
One I
funding.
didn't support, so I'm 11 and 1. I'll go to 12 and 2 on this. I'll hold my vote this year on this one, if we leave it where it is today.
If we were to do it with a third option, I'd be willing to switch to a yeah for this one.
What does everyone think of the third option?
I'm a yeah.
Yes.
We need to reevaluate whether we want to close the road or not, put that in front of people and have them weigh in on that.
So that's part of
I thought that was
Because-
part, is that?
Part of the study.
Yeah, that's part of the
It's part of the
third
public
option,
engagement.
yeah.
So we would present them, I'm assuming, some designs, but some designs would have to have a road open so that people would.
I don't think there's a design that has a road, we can do it now with the road open, with what we have. I really think, council always reserves the right to say, we've heard from the public, we did this with Parallel Road when we talked about one-way streets, and the public came out and said, we don't like that, and we said, fine, we won't do the project. Council always reserves the right to say, we're not gonna do a project up until we do the project. But it's an exercise in futility, saying, do we want the road open or not? If you either do or you don't, I think that's up to this board, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, about whether or not we blow open side streets in order to get people up and down roads, but honestly, if we're gonna have anything on Main Street, whether the road's open fully or not, that's gonna be a slow road. You're gonna be going 15 miles an hour through here if we're gonna have people walking on the sides of the streets and dining and crossing the streets. We get multiple complaints now. You guys get these complaints up at Venture Church and Percent, where people are almost getting hit because cars cut through here and they try to go too fast and they don't feel like the lighting is adequate. Truth is, there's just a lot of people out enjoying themselves at that intersection, and that pedestrians and cut-throughs don't mix.
I mean, I would love to see something like this at the train station, to be honest, as opposed to right here. But you know,
I don't
There's
think,
no business there.
I don't think you can, I don't think this doesn't prohibit you from doing other parks throughout town. I think the point of this is, do you want something in your town center or not? And if we don't, that's easy. You just don't. If we do, then we gotta decide, what does that look like? And I think your point's fair, like, you're not willing to put a number on it at this point. You don't know if it's 2 million, you're out. You're not a blank check. That's a fair assessment, but the idea of, you know, are they mutually exclusive with other parks, or should the road be open or should it not? I think that's something that
Yeah, but.
is just a you decision.
Money is finite. You know,
It-
we can build another park. What about, something like that would be nice next to wherever our future library will be located?
And the hope is that it'll be
Here.
I would
here,
hope-
right?
I would hope to
Well,
have
if
it,
that's
thought
the
so.
case, then we
Yeah.
can
I would hope to have it adjacent
evaluate
to
that
this.
in conjunction with. you
And
know,
so
the
that was,
library.
maybe that's the missing piece for you, because that was it for me. I know that the hope has always been, well, not always, as of late, been to bring the library here.
Yeah, when we've been negotiating with the county on
Mhm.
town center library relocation for a few years. They've had some hiccups that have taken them away from the negotiating
That's-
table,
that's
but
graceful.
that remains our position.
I just want to say, great job on the drawing.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, they're not
This is
ugly.
beautiful.
This is-
I
this is-
think this would attract people to town. I mean, I think we're looking at economic development. I think it would be something. I went to a little place in Harrison, in Houston, and they had, not really similar, but they had businesses all around with a field kind of in the middle, and there were people out there, kids playing soccer. It was turf, but it was a nice area in between the businesses. Is this something we think we can get done next year? I mean, that's what I was looking at, was this is the 27 budget.
We have money now, so we're kind of at a pause, thinking, do we go forward or not? If this is approved as a concept in this budget, our next step would basically take the consultants that we've already hired, give them this concept and say, design it. Get me some pricing. Let's start taking this back, you know, through the, so yeah, we can move as quickly as we want to on it. But we have to have consensus on it, right? And if there are problem areas with it, let's workshop that and figure it out. We certainly don't want to do anything that the board or the community doesn't want to do. I think our plans that we've looked at with the comp plan and the Parks Master Plan, all the elements in here are reflected in there. They didn't say, hey, I want it between Town Hall and Novant. Those aren't that specific. But all of the elements that we see in here are pulled straight from our plans and reflected. So I know the community supports having these types of things. Is it here? Does it fit the board's vision and all that? That's up to y'all, but we can get it done quick,
So-
if we want it to get done quick.
Mike, to your point, and Ryan, you weren't here, so don't feel a dart on this one. Veterans Park. Wonderful park. We were gonna have a restaurant sitting next door. You have the restaurant, they would overflow, they would come into the park. Great space, kids could play while they're on a wait, blah, blah. We got Panda Express and Chase Bank. So while you're waiting on your deposit, go hang out at Veterans Park. While you're waiting on your Chinese, go hang out at Veterans Park. And that's some of the stuff where I'm at in all of this is, don't get me wrong, a reasonable concept, we could certainly go there. I didn't feel like there was enough conversation, and I've seen other things in town go sideways, and goodness gracious, I don't know that I'll see people walking out of Panda Express going to Veterans Park to stroll around.
I have no retort for any of those things. I think some people in this room have heard me talk to some of our developers within the past few weeks and say almost identical language to what you just said in another location.
But I
But
think that's different. I mean,
It's
I
a
think
memorial-
this
it feels
being
more
a town
memorial.
center, this is more.
But it was sold to us, just like we are here now, the same way. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have a restaurant, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that. Fast forward, we got Panda Express. I have no bones with Panda Express. I have no bones with
This is
Chase.
the building.
But what I'm
now,
saying
and that's
is,
the medical.
it
Yeah,
started
that's the
out
medical
amazing.
In front of it, so it's just this road.
But you know what, I'm thinking as you were talking, like, when I go to, not to, like, you spotlight Burkdale, but I am. Like, when you go there, they have that open space, they have the shops, you walk, you can spend a day there, you know what I mean? If it, like, imagine if we can do that here. Like, we can leave our dollars here, and we can, and then, because when people start coming out, the businesses are gonna come. It may not be overnight, but at least it gives some momentum, even in Farmington. Even bringing Dario there is bringing more stuff over there. Chick-fil-A's probably upset, but it's, you know, it's bringing some, it just is, it's a different energy, you know, and I haven't been here as long as some of you all, but it feels different, right? And it feels like we're going in the right direction, because there are folks who've come from New York and different places, California, and they're like, what do y'all have to offer? This is a start, in my opinion, in that direction. And hopefully it'll bring the momentum and the businesses and the partners to that space. You know, and so I just think, and it also answers the question, the survey that the folks said that they wanted, right? But again, measure twice, cut once, okay? We want to make sure we get it right. We don't want to spend any unnecessary money doing this again. And I envision people going to these places, Bubba's or whatever, and then hanging out at the park, right here in our community.
I think it's leaving it better than we found it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
a cool project, but I don't know if the 5.3 is enough for you guys.
I mean,
No,
Is-
you weren't,
is
you weren't
anybody-
5.3, you were 6, we moved to 6.2.
well, I
Oh,
think we have
sorry.
one, we
Oh,
have. we have-
because she shifted, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry.
But
Okay.
to Councilman Thevenon's position of, hey, pursue the design, let's wait on a construction number, you know, as a third option, is there anybody dead set against that? I know,
Listen, I think
Councilwoman Cotel's, it
I'd
sounded like there's a
to
lot more
get
that she'd like to hear.
Councilman Smith on board somehow. What would it take to get you? Because your wisdom is ringing in my ears. Let's not make a mistake.
Right,
And I don't want to make a mistake.
And like I said, there's only been one budget that I said no to.
Yeah.
And I have ridden with everybody all the way through the last 10 years, except
Yeah.
for that one.
Yeah.
And this one, when I saw that, I was like, no, this is an absolute dead deal to me.
So,
And it's because we, as a council, haven't done our due diligence. We're basing it simply on, that's a great photo, great concept. That doesn't constitute.
no, I get it. I get it.
I think it
It's a-
hits the survey though.
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's
But
what.
so did, as Altine said, so did the greenways. And we poo-pooed on those.
Well, we didn't.
I don't think we
We
did, we
doubled
just,
it.
yeah, we
We're
haven't.
asking for if a project comes ahead, we haven't even spent
Yeah,
We
we
haven't-
haven't
haven't
really
maxed
been
out.
We're only
allocating,
at 220.
Right.
we haven't really been allocating a lot of resources. We haven't really, there hasn't been really big push from like the council onto the employees to push those further, you know. This just seems like, I thought 700,000 was gonna cover, you know, beautifying this area. But if you are gonna use all of 700,000 just to do like the design work,
No,
I
but,
didn't understand it to be that way.
My thought was,
That's-
you're gonna use part of that for the design fees,
Yeah.
you're still gonna have some.
yeah.
My thought was, I don't wanna go ahead and put in the budget the extra 1.3 for something that we don't have we don't know. I mean, it could be $5 million to do, probably not,
Yeah.
but we don't know, and that was my pushback on it was, I wasn't sure, I didn't have enough, and I put that on the exercise, I just didn't have enough to know, I mean, how can I justify another 1.3? We don't even know what that looks like. And if we're just doing the budget for this year, that's, to me, that's what this is the 2027 budget, right? And it's, what are we looking at? I mean, are we gonna go ahead and allocate $2 million for this? That was my
Yeah.
pushback.
And Chris, you know, and for those that weren't here for the bond vote, the reason the park bond failed was because it was presented, we wanted X amount of money, and and there was no list, what we were doing, how we were doing it, anything else. And everybody came back and said, I'll be damned, I am not writing you a blank check.
Yeah, that's fair.
And here again, I can't explain it. All I can say, oh, it's a concept. We're gonna explore it. 2 million, maybe that gets it. It might be 6 million, it might be 500,000. I don't know. And I don't feel comfortable answering those questions when presented by a resident.
So if we had the 700 as is, which we have the 700 to do the exploratory, you could always come back and say, well, turns out it's 1.9, we've done a survey, everybody's good, council, you on board, we can say yes or no, up or down. You come back and say it's 5 million, we all say, no, you know, that's gonna be a no for us. It's harder than we thought, there's utility lines or something we didn't anticipate. But I don't like the idea of another year going by and another year going by and another year.
But then work with the 700 that you've already got.
We've got the 700, but I think what Rob has done is say, it's not 700. If you keep on this path, it's going to be up to 2 million. So that's sort of full disclosure. It's not a government plan that keeps on giving. It's like 2 million could probably get it done.
You know, we're at a fork in the road on the concept. You know, are we closing the road and doing a signature downtown, you know, Harrisburg Common, or are we beautifying the exterior edges and calling it a day? It's not 700, you know, generally rule of thumb, 10 to 15% for a design fee. So you would expect a $2 million project to have, you know, 200 to 300 in complete design. So yeah, we have that in the 700, but we don't want to go and spend 200 grand on a concept that everybody,
So
when we send it out to you, it'd be like, oh, that's a terrible idea.
So if we leave the 700 in, and we come back and it's 2 million, and we've done customer surveys, and we're on board with it, I mean, is that reasonable to leave the 700 in, keep the exploratory, knowing that we've got an aiming price of 2 million for whatever design that we do the customer survey, we bring the citizens in, we do renderings, we show them concepts, and then we could say,
It's a very reasonable, I think that's what Councilman Devanen's suggestion was.
yeah,
But I'm not sure if it's an all or nothing proposition with the road being open or the project in general pursuing it. And I think that's where we're at right now, is are we even comfortable spending any money on design and renderings and public involvement? Because,
I
you
think
know,
we need to.
those
That's what
meetings are.
It's what our people have asked for.
yeah.
I think we're doing a disservice by not looking into that.
I'm obviously for number 3.
All right.
Yeah.
Go for 3.
Me
I'm,
too.
I'm still for 3, because to that point, and I don't know that, I mean, I'm kind of torn on the survey, but, because I feel like we do a ton of those. Like,
We got a lot-
we know.
we got a lot of
we
data
know
on
our
what people
community
want.
wants.
We're still moving forward with that. I mean, I think this is getting us more information to be informed on if we're gonna vote on this.
And we would still have an open house, kind of like
Right.
we've done before, and they can
That's
come
what I'm
in and
thinking,
see.
not like a-
Yeah,
not
not
like
a
a
I think
survey.
the
Just make
most
sure we're
impact, you
clear.
know, somebody
On
might
that
not
form.
drive over from Camelot to see this, but somebody back here may weigh in, and they may be less
be the
than
most direct
positive or
answer.
something. I don't know, but I think and if 12 people show up, all right, you were heard. We sent out a survey.
Didn't we do the same thing for Farm Hill?
So that's what I
We didn't
envision,
just-
yes.
We didn't just have a concept drawing, we actually put money towards getting the research done, having somebody design that. I know Ian did it pro bono.
Oh,
But,
no, that's
I mean,
not-
that was part of the process,
Yeah.
I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, but concepts are, you know, public involvement summary is part of that process for that project. That was further along than this is. I mean, we're just in the infancy of this. We're either gonna do public involvement with something like this, or we're just gonna do the edges. We've never really went and said, hey, are we on board with something like this? The first time we talked about this was in the retreat, of whether or not, now, I've talked about with select folks on what if we closed it and what if we, you know, had an open field out here. But as a group, that's the first time where we were able to get anything from our consultant to you to look at and say, what if we put something here, put something there? So yeah, I think that is normally part of the process. We're early on this one.
And I'll be honest, when I first looked at that, I thought it was back here.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's 'cause of the gazebo location.
Gazebo's right
Yeah.
there, and then we still have the columns and stuff in the back. That was my initial thought. I
Yep.
don't know why I thought no line across the street was right there.
Yep.
I love the
That's-
concept, I mean, I like that. I think it's.
So I think I'm hearing unanimous.
Yeah, I think it's fine, and closing the road may be fine, but let's just not kid ourselves. This is a small little area, like, let's say Veterans Park, there's like 3 families, and then it looks comfortable, but, you know, you're gonna have a bunch of people come in, and it's just too small to be any sort of meaningful park. It's just gonna be a small little pretty area, so let's not like overblow it and spend too much money on it.
All right. Well, we're ahead of schedule. Plenty of time tonight, so I'm just kidding. We're on page 4 of 36, so we're going to go ahead and back up a few and try.
The end.
And that wasn't even one of the items that was.
There.
No, we're past that.
No, we were here. That's, we didn't even get to the strong denial one here. This is the one that, I just want to bring this to your attention. Strong denial, so we didn't fund it. However, I think this is one that is our fault, and I think the criticism that Councilman Smith gave us on that one is better pointed on this one, because we really haven't talked about emergency generator for this building in any, deep capacity. It's just kind of a one-off. This isn't one of those kind of fun, flashy capital projects that we're always, doing renderings and talking about. This is more of a issue with Town Hall where, as we've had these emergency events, as we get larger and larger staff, we have more and more people at Town Hall, we can't operate through like the ice storm that we had, I guess it was a couple months ago, mid-January, when we had, yeah, I mean, we were down without electric there for several days. When we have that situation, there are some folks that can work remote, but we just need to either be okay with closing operations when we have hurricanes or ice storms or things like that, or we're gonna have backup power at this building. I think, we're continuing to go through and look at costs on this. We'll do that, and we'll come back to you at some point with a fine number, and you're more than welcome to say no then. I just want everybody to have.
I was actually on board with that.
Yeah. I just want everybody to have clear eyes. You're back in the good graces.
The drinking game.
I just want everybody to have clear eyes of what that is. When the power goes out, we're just going to send folks home
Go stand in the park
until we
when the
have a
power goes out.
generator. There's no real way for us. We can, what's that?
$1,000 buys a lot of candles.
That's true. It doesn't run OneDrive, and that's the difficulty we have. So we do send a handful of folks over to John's building at Public Works where we have generators, so we can keep continuity of operations going, but it's a skeleton crew. And so if we really want to have full operations, which our customers do expect, I mean, they call in and the phones are dead because there's no power to them and everything is voice over IP now. So, as long as we're okay with that scenario, that's fine. We'll get better numbers on this. It's not in the budget. And I'm not going to waste any more time on it. And I'm going to let Lee get back to.
You trust me?
Yeah, he said, remember you guys said Lee does quicker meetings?
Well, to be fair, Lee wasn't talking.
He got you there.
Hey, so this part gets into what we call the word cloud, and just as a point of reference, especially anybody that's here that's not familiar with it, these word clouds is just a culmination of a bunch of different projects that have come in from surveys, from talking internally, from residents. It's just kind of truly is a work cloud where we've thrown all this stuff there. None of this is in the budget, so this is purely putting it out. We do this every year, put it out to council, and just get some feedback to see if there's any of these projects that have moved up into the level of wanting to take them on. So you'll see there was no, on this page, there was none that rose to the level of any type of consensus to do any of them. But I did just want to point out, you'll see there's 5 here that had low interest, so a little interest going into it. We have the fire station 1 in admin, preliminary design, a community space, or the community center space, the historic train, the outdoor activities and the basketball. Is the basketball court? Yeah, basketball courts, and then we have down here towards the bottom this open green space, natural areas. So again, nothing rose to a level of moving it into the list, but wanted to point those out. Another page of these, a couple of things here. Again, we had no areas of consensus to move forward until we get down to the bottom. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Business incentives. Dang gummit, I did it again. I'll get a hang of it one of these days. That's all. I had it for years. The business incentives and the site-ready EDC had 1 vote of interest, and then we have the tree canopy down at the bottom. At the very bottom, though, you'll see the one area that we got a 4-3 under council, 4-4 with mayor and council vote was to increase the facade grant funding to $100,000. Again, this is $50,000 is what we've historically had in this account, and that $50,000 is actually in the budget. So this is just bringing up the question: do we want to bring it up to $100,000? Right now, pretty much this program is if any of the businesses that qualify want to come in and ask us to start that process, we will do it, but we don't physically go out and put a big effort into going to these businesses and putting it out to them. This would be part of that to take a more active role in working on the facade areas around town. So any discussion that we want to have on that? Scared to ask.
Yeah, scared to ask.
I think that I'm in support of this. When we saw, I think the easiest example is with the Moorhead sign. That just made it look so much better. I mean, it fits like, it looks like Harrisburg. And I think increasing the dollar amount helps to update some of our older buildings in our community. And we're, aesthetics are important to our community. We see that on everything that we put out. So I think that, increasing the dollar amount just makes sense.
It's a pretty rigorous application process.
Right.
That they have to go through to even get.
It is. It has a high impact because it generally incentivizes folks that can't really get there without the grant, right? They want to spend some, but they may have half. So, we've traditionally underspent on this. And I think my interpretation when I read these was 50 seems to be plenty because we're not really spending 50 over time. I would say with the addition of our EDC team, we're getting a lot more interest because they're out there, knocking doors, beating the streets. So they're letting people know that these things exist and making suggestions. Hey, I notice your sign's really run down. We have a program if you're interested. And so I think we'll spend, the whole 100 if we go that route. But we haven't talked about that program a lot, and so the 4-3, really made sense to me. 4-4 makes sense, but I also think it's a high impact, low cost addition to some of the private property that we can't really affect without their buy-in. We can build $2 million parks all day long, but we can't go onto private property and fix their signs.
I think it helps, those businesses that we have that, like to your point, that can't get there themselves. And heck, I didn't know about this until the last presentation, however long, and I think word of mouth is a snowball effect is real. And I think that the money, even if we don't use the money, it's there, right? And I think when people hear about it, they're going to probably want to ask, even if it's a rigorous application. I think that now they know it exists, right? And it's something, and I think it'll be more in alignment with what we're asking our new company, our new businesses to have, right? So they won't look like the
Sore thumb.
huh?
The sore thumb.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It'll just bring everyone, bring everyone up to kind of see what we're expecting now in Harrisburg. So,
I mean, and there looks to be some interest in it too on the recent social media post about this program too.
Killian's Plaza is the first example.
Thank you, I couldn't think of the name of it.
They, some still see it differently, but it's much improved than what it was. I mean, ideally, I would love to see the shopping center across the street from Killian Plaza take advantage of it, or the car wash, but I don't think the car wash is gonna do anything other than what the car wash does. Yeah.
But for some of these businesses that are just day-to-day trying to survive, they're not spending $10,000 on a sign improvement because they don't have
Right.
it. But to pony that up and think, okay, that could draw more people in, I think it's a great way to support our small businesses.
Yeah, I think the Moorhead sign was a great example of it. Does anyone feel strongly that we're in those no's, or, staff was going to recommend we move forward with this unless there's, some strong opinions on, is this an absolute no-go? We good with the 50? All right.
Once we allocate 100,000, what happens to it at the end of the year if we don't spend it?
This one's a little unique because we have a capital reserve fund just for economic development purposes. So if it's not spent here, it just remains in that fund for this purpose.
So next year we could go over? Okay.
If you allocate
And
it.
this fund has
If we
about,
If you allocate it.
right. Gosh, I think we have like 400,000 in this fund right now.
That was,
Wow.
thank you,
So-
that was my
Because
next
it's
question.
been
We weren't
Because it's been
even-
building for
Yeah,
years and years.
80,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wonder if, I was actually a yes on it, but I'm wondering if we can we keep it at 50, but have okay from the council, like if somebody does come in and they want to do something and we run out of the budget, that we just do a budget amendment?
Because we have
Because if there's 400,000 in it,
to use
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I'm fine with
I'd
that.
actually be okay with that.
Yeah, that would be a great thing if you said, oh, man, we're at 425, we're about to run out of money, we need more.
I mean, that fund is just like in fee in lieu of, right?
Right.
They operate the same way. We just stick it in there until there's a time to.
Yeah. Self-perpetuating. Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, and the last slide I have here, these were the open-ended priorities. And so if you remember, we got to the bottom of your exercise and we just left it open to ask, is there anything that you can think of that you might not have seen otherwise in the exercise that you would like to entertain? That, again, none of you have seen all of these weren't put together for y'all to see, so this is the first time y'all are seeing it. We have on the right-hand side there, you'll see the status checks. All those mean that those projects that were put down there are currently in some form of discussion. We just talked about the facade program, so we know what we're doing there. Historic train, we've had those discussions. The dog park, that's an area that we're currently working on, so we hope to have something to bring back to y'all soon on that in this current budget. Additional money for the greenways, we already had that discussion earlier in what y'all decided. And the new sports program, just wanted to remind everybody that we are going to be having lacrosse camps this summer. So that'll be the first time we've introduced that. We feel like that's a way to begin moving into that process, to gauge interest, start getting people to know what it's all about. We have adult kickball that is already going and this summer and is moving forward with that. And then we're also partnering with the Y to get volleyball started. So they started volleyball this fall. We're working with them, so eventually we'll take that program over. At this point, though, we're letting them kind of use that to get it started. So we are working on those. Now, what this amount is would be a much more in-depth, pointed attack to it. But just kind of leave it open here if there's any of these that anybody that put these down would like to speak for that we haven't talked about already?
I'll speak for a couple of these. One was a discretionary fund for the mayor council beyond the athletic funding. I'm glad the discretionary funds were in there when we sent the team. I have no idea what that would be or what could come up, but it just seemed very easy when we said, do we have $20,000 to send somebody somewhere? And the answer was, oh, sure, we've got a fund. No idea whether we'd spend that or not or what that would be, but a year's a long time and anything could come up. So I put that one in there just to give us some flexibility. The second one was the grant research application. I'm not sure we're getting all the juice out of all the grants, and we have somebody, you know, on a contract basis or something who's looking them up and funding themselves and saying, I just found $1 million for you. If you fill out this grant form, and we got the thing from Duke Power, and you know, there's all kinds of grants out there. I'm not sure we're taking full advantage of those. So I'm advocating that we put something in there to make it somebody's job, somebody's responsibility with an ROI that says, you spend $75,000 with me and I'll find you $2 million in grants. And if I don't, you can fire me. And then the last one on here was this Robinson Church extension. I can't tell you how many times I come up to that road and people put their turn signal on. Like, yeah, you've lived here a long time because that road used to go through. I feel you, man. It's crazy that that road is closed. I don't know if we go over it, under it, but I know it's a multi-year project. I have no idea what it is, how much we would fund, but it's ridiculous that road is closed. So I don't know what the funding is, but that was certainly less than you guys asked for, but I think we need to do something on that.
And that one, to be clear, is Robinson Church to Harris Depot.
Right, right. And by the way, I still put my turn signal on when I get through it.
I think we allocated some money to research the above or
For the
below grade.
feasibility study.
Yeah, I wonder what the results of that is.
Yeah, so we'll be able to report that stage of it within this budget. I think what this was to say, hey, whatever those results are, it sounds like Councilman Fall's willing to put some engineering dollars to it to get it more shovel-ready. And so I think that's what he was advocating for there
Yep.
after the planning stage.
Yeah, but it was less than, I think you guys, there was some big number in there. And I said, well, something, you know, what could we spend?
Yeah, I think we estimated that at like a $26 million
exactly.
thing up front. Like I said, they're still working through those final engineering, planning level estimates, but it won't be cheap.
Yep.
We'd have to buy like the businesses and the houses there.
No. So there are no total takes in our preliminary estimate, but I also think there's some, where we left it off, they did basically earthen fill. So, you know, instead of doing like retaining walls, like think of 3 as you're going into Kannapolis, and they've got that retaining wall on it, and it's like 60 foot in the air, right? They did that to save that house that was up there because it was a historic home. The preliminary estimates that came through just have, you know, 2-to-1 slope, or so that really that goes into people's front yards and impacts them. That's not really going to be viable if we go through there. We're going to want to tighten that up and have more tight retaining walls so that you don't have to take any businesses or houses. You wouldn't even with the fill, but you would impact them more than you'd be comfortable with by filling their whole front yard.
Just trying to visualize how it would work. You've got Corey Wilmot on that corner.
Right.
His driveway's right up against the train tracks. And then he's got a business in the back, Acme Welding or whatever that is.
Yeah, we'll have to show you the
Yeah.
planning level.
But it also would impact Harris Depot Park.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get in?
Yeah.
Yeah, access road, I mean, it's driveways that just move, so like, take Harris Depot Park, for example. You know, we've got the grass parking lot right after the retention basin there that we paved half of it. Now, you would just move the driveway up about 70 feet and come in before the road either goes over or under, depending on which one you pick. So instead of going all the way up and taking a 90 in, you're just going to 90 in and then work your way into the park. So it's not as impactful as I thought it would be. I thought it would be much more unrealistic. The cost is going to be the part that the town of Harrisburg is never going to pay for that project. It's going to be a federal government grant that pays for that, or it just sits on the shelf waiting for, some type of public works funding to come out of Washington. So I think the cost is going to be prohibitive. The design, I think, is actually more doable than I envisioned it would be when we started it. Were there any other on this list that anybody wanted to kind of explain or advocate for? I think the reason we have this slide is just, one, to say those open-ended items that we're doing, hey, we're working on those, don't worry about it. The other is nobody else except for the elected official that put this on their form has ever seen it. So we didn't want to be kind of a gatekeep to that and say, hey, look, if one of you has an idea, maybe everybody else likes that idea, and at least get it on your radar. If they're small dollar items like the discretionary funds, those are things that we can easily make in this budget. If it's something we want to add to a future retreat and talk about it in future budgets, that's fine too. But just wanted to have it out there for full transparency.
I mean, the dog park came up several years ago. The Harrisburg, I guess whatever that is today that's being built.
Village? Is it Village?
Yeah, Harrisburg Village. So they put in a dog park, but they clearly put in a sign that says residents only.
them.
Right? And they're very strong about it. They also believe that the Greenway is theirs too, but I think the town has probably explained to them that that's not just their property. And we're finally to the size that several folks have asked, when are we getting one? And I'm like, I don't know if it makes sense, but do we have the space and where would it be?
Yeah, and we're working on some options for existing spaces that we have to put, more temporary dog parks. Like, it wouldn't be insignificant. It'd be a nice park like we do here, but something that doesn't take years to design and have, all the things. Like we need water and parking and fences and.
I don't think dogs are very objective when it comes to what they like and what they don't like. But
My dog has never turned his nose up to a fenced area with other dogs in it.
they don't complain if you put a flower there or make them walk around sideways or whatever.
All right.
All right. So I've got some pretty quick slides here. So we'll go over the financial models and some of the budget season graphics. This financial model and all three of them that we'll look at tonight are almost identical to what we've seen all throughout budget season. We did not have any sort of significant change in our projected revenues. We did get an updated number on property taxes from the county, and our real property value went down by $50,000 and our motor vehicles went up by $50,000. So you see no change in the budget as a result of that. And then we did incorporate some of the very small items that we've talked about tonight. We'll pull out the $1.3 million that was added in for Harrisburg Commons, so that will just improve the bottom line here. But this model does look almost identical to the one that we saw on April 9th. So here is a graphical representation of the model, and I think this might be a better way to share the results of the model over time versus looking at all the numbers on the screen there. So on the left side is the y-axis for the capital reserve fund ending balance in blue there. So you can see that we're starting north of 20 million as we enter fiscal year 2027, and then we have sort of a spin down of that savings account in the first year, representing all the authorized projects that we have ongoing right now, assuming that those are spent down. And then you see our cumulative capital that's funded across this model as we progress through the 10 years. And so you can see that the capital reserve fund balance, incorporating all of the about 100 million in capital improvement projects, all the expansions of programs and staff and all sorts of estimated growth that the town has, produces a model that's very successful. It stays positive the entire time, and we accomplish nearly 70 million in capital that's paid for with cash. And so that doesn't include, but it is represented here, about 30 million in capital that's financed as well. So we are accomplishing a lot across this 10-year model, and it remains healthy the entire time. And that's what we see here, and how much capital is involved in this model is the reason that we're so nimble when something pops up that we can take advantage of or that we can respond to. It's because all we have to do is shift capital here. You know, we can move capital back, we can have savings on it, we can outperform in operations to make up some ground. So this is kind of an illustration of how nimble we are and how good the outlook is for the next 10 years. For the Water and Sewer Fund, same story here. This is almost the exact model that you saw about a month ago. And so here's what that looks like. Starting at 8 million, it does dip down in 2032 to just below 1 million and then recovers, bless you. And so that tells you that we don't have a structural operational problem. We just have a spend down of our capital reserve balance, and then that recovers as well. And then same story here on the Stormwater Fund. You can see it dipping down as we spend about 3 million on spot improvement projects over the first couple years of the model. And then we don't have anything planned out in the future as you see that capital level off. And so then over the next 4 or 5 years, the Stormwater Fund starts to build back up capacity for those types of projects again. Now, any questions on the financial models? All right. I also have budget graphics. These are literally the same as you saw on April 9th because we haven't had changes to the departments. So just to refresh everyone's memory of the dollar bill graphic showing you how the departments represent a typical dollar paid in property taxes. And then our breakdown of the general fund expenditures by function. So public safety still makes up right around 50% of our general fund budget. Parks and Rec at just under 1/5. And then environmental protection and streets combined are about another 1/5. And then all the remaining supporting departments and engineering and planning and economic development make up about 16 or 17% there combined. And I'll pass it back to Lee for the fee schedule. Sir.
Okay, so I'll run through these much like what Brian just went through. Everything that you're going to see here, we went over at a higher level last budget workshop. Just want to kind of go through it in a little more detail. First thing, everything you see on this screen is fee schedules that have no increases, so they'll stay the same as they are today. Go through a couple of these here. Utility account fees and charges, those are all going to stay the same. The one change is actually a reduction with the security deposit removed, and you'll see that here in a moment. The fire plan reviews and inspections all stay the same, as well as the plan review fees and inspections, so no changes to any of those. There's no changes to our resident athletic registration fees. We will talk about the non-resident here in just a second, but no change to our resident fees. And no changes to the facility rental rates. So all those stay the same. Now we'll get into a few of these slides that show the changes. Go through these here. You can see that the credit card convenience fee, I think we talked about that last time as well. That increased 0.5%. Again, just trying to keep up with the cost of those credit card fees so that the users are covering that cost. Our water and sewer rates, as we had mentioned also, went to the 5% increase due to the increase that we're having to pay for increased rates since we're reselling them. System development fees, also 5% increase. Those are the fees to the developers that pay for the development. You'll see the account delinquency fee. The $100 is still there, but what is changed in this presentation is that the one time a year, the first time, can be automatically waived per year. And this really is aimed to try to help those people that just for whatever reason, that's not something that ever normally happens, but something happened and they missed it for a month. So every 12 months they'll have the opportunity to have that waived if that's the case. If you're one of the people that chronically are getting cut off, that fee after that will continue to build as it does today. Your utility account setup fees, the deposit was eliminated. I think we had mentioned that as well. And then the account setup fee has been increased by $5. So ultimately what that means is whenever someone comes in to create a new service for the town, they used to pay $75 to the town, now they'll pay $35, and that'll be it. Parks and Recreation fee changes. Again, these are only non-resident fees. You can see that for most all the regular sports, it's a $10 increase. The Pee Wee sports is $5. The big changes are going to be down at the bottom with Pop Warner. You'll see $25 increase for cheer and then $50 for Pop Warner football.
And I did get questions about, cheer and Pop Warner based on our last meeting, are we transitioning? Is there a plan in place? Are we continuing that indefinitely? So I did want to open it up as if there's any conversation for that. We have everything proposed here for the upcoming year as this just is business as usual. But there has been requests for, hey, is there a transition ever? And if so, how quickly is that? So I'll open it up for that if anybody has anything.
I mean, I've been very vocal about, I'm very supportive of Pop Warner football. I would like to see them transition and stand on their own like other Pop Warners. I'm not saying an immediate cut, but like a transition over a couple of years.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? I know, Jim and I have talked about this, and we had some discussion at Budget 3 about just what does that look like if the organization doesn't want to do it.
I mean,
And
I think some of it came up because there were local events that were pricey. And when I walked away from that, I'm like, it was always pricey. You guys weren't in Orlando when it was pricey, right? Just because it was local, it touched you, it touched Jennifer, touched anybody else in this room, touched me. But it was nothing within our control. It was always that way. I mean, if you even go out to the website and search, there's I think a 90-page PDF that all these teams are given that explain from the very beginning the cost involved. And so it's unfortunate that Pop Warner charges what they do, but that's not within our capacity control. The downside is what are these kids going to do? I mean, there's nothing feeding our middle school. There's nothing feeding our high school. You would hope that the middle school would feed the high school, but sometimes kids get discouraged between the two, and you still have that relationship. And if you ever go out to the high school football games, you see those coaches that mentored these kids throughout the years. I mean, relationships, you'll be amazed at how strong they've gotten over the years. I would always advocate for it, just from, I see the benefits. The other side of it, Councilmember Banks, you talk about, like basketball courts. Where would these kids be if they didn't have somewhere else to go? And I'm still asking, I'd like to see more of the basketball courts, because the only two that I know of, besides at the Y, are behind Harrisburg Elementary. If we're not providing opportunity for the kids, then sooner or later, they're gonna find other things to get themselves involved in. And, whether you think it's part of what Harrisburg is, at the minimum, I'd like to see us invest in our kids, whatever it is, that we're giving them opportunity to do something.
I could be wrong, but I think a lot of this discussion came up last time because we were looking at what population this was serving, and it was a lot out of Harrisburg residents. I think that was an overwhelming, it was not Harrisburg residents.
That was certainly part.
I
of-
know,
Yeah,
That was a major part of our discussion.
Yeah.
That's part of, that doesn't necessarily, yes, that's a thing that I'm concerned about. And also, I want to see it be successful, but to your point, Pop Warner has its own rules
Right.
that we have no control over.
Right.
And I don't know that our community really
we
really
don't.
understands that. And Pop Warner's rules are what they are. We just have to deal with it. That's not,
There's not a city league or
I
a
just don't
county league that we can invest in to give them an alternative. And that's why Pop Warner has always been there. It's like, we don't participate in the Little League World Series because that's similar to Pop Warner. It's run by a different organization. And the town's always chose not to participate in that. In this, there's really no other competitive for these kids. So. you
I
know,
mean, my struggle with it is, we are their fundraising source. We are their, like,
we're not
if we
the only
look, if we
fundraising
look at other Pop Warner teams around us, they're doing the work, they're doing the thing. They're not backed by a municipality. I think that we should strongly encourage Harrisburg Cowboys to stand on their own 2 feet. Again, not saying like, oh yeah, next year that's it. No, it needs to be. I'm a huge proponent of hey, let's figure out how to make this a healthy transition, because I have a vested interest. I don't want to see them fall. I don't want that at all. So we figure out what's the best way to make sure that we're leaving them in a good spot. So if that's hey, watch us do it, you do it, we're here as a help the following year, and then, year 3, like, it's yours. I mean, that's just a tentative, that's just a spitball idea. I do think, though, that there should be a transition.
Well, they do their own funding. I mean, they don't rely, that's why they're a 501c3 or whatever that special number is. I know those kids throughout the year are always looking to raise money, and do raise money quite a bit. So there is a benefit from the fields and infrastructure and
Absolutely.
signing them up and all those things. So
And I would still be in support of, hey, yes, that'd be our partnership. Use our fields, take the equipment. That's just what makes sense to me. Guess I'm the only one that feels that way, and that's okay too.
Sorry,
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Mayor had asked me a clarifying question about the fees and whether or not the program costs are covered by the registration fees, which they are. And so clarified that. And I also clarified just that I think some of the feedback that I've gotten from the Parks Department and several of the council members is not necessarily the cost as much as how it operates. Does it operate consistent with our vision, mission, values, goals, like our other kind of recreation programs, versus it's just a very competitive league, which is why they have recruiting, which is why 75% are not Harrisburg residents, and how long does that go before it breaks? We've seen some tension between what, the 501c3 board wants to do and what we will allow them to do, because we have, different restrictions, even as much as, their practice schedules and things like that. So, those were the things I was clarifying over here and passing those
And
along.
Rob, I think it's important too, like, yes, we do want to feed into our high schools. I mean, anybody that's had a private conversation with me knows that I think that athletics are our #1 job prevention program. I stand firmly on that. Given that these students are not ours, they're not going to feed into Hickory Ridge or middle or high school anyway.
I can't say it's fact or it's not fact. I was just told Saturday, apparently one of the teams are considered to be like top 5 in the country right now.
Yeah.
So,
Where do they live?
I
I mean, that's, and they are. I mean, I've heard that same thing, but I think it's important to consider the impact to our staff, what that looks like, and just, again, figuring out what that transition looks like over the next couple of years.
But I don't think it's any harm in figuring out a transition plan. It's not immediate.
No.
I mean, it gives us time to kind of still work collaboratively. It gives us, it's not saying that we don't want it. And there are huge benefits of it, right? But I think there is some benefits of preparing them for success on their own.
I'm confused though. If you don't want it, then why would you transition it? Either you want it or you don't. There's not, you wouldn't transition it just to say, we want you, but you're over here. That's part of the transition. I guess, not understanding that.
I'm talking about the money spent, right? So I mean, I'm saying, I think Pop Warner is a good thing. I just don't know if we, as a town, should be paying for it.
But we're not paying for Pop Warner.
Not for the program costs. And again, with the folks that I've talked to about it, both staff and electeds, it's more about who's in the driver's seat and who's in the co-pilot seat. Right now, we drive, they co-pilot.
Do
we? And that's theoretically. But there's always an argument over who's got the stick, right? So, you know, at what point do you switch those? I don't think I have not heard anyone, staff included, say like, they run it and we're out. I think it's more, we're the support group. We provide fields, we provide assistance, we do all of that. They're running it as a true Pop Warner, collecting the fees, selecting the players, and there's probably a transition period that would have to happen there. And it probably takes a couple years to really transition into a successful 501c3 led program versus a municipally led program.
I'm just curious, Latrice, maybe you know, maybe, I don't know, are other Pop Warner, because in Florida, they're not like this. They're not run by our town. They're run independently on their own.
Well, let's start there. We can't compare any
Well, I'm
North
just saying.
Carolina athletics to.
I know, I'm just saying.
Okay.
So I'm like, so how common is it to have it structured this way?
From what I understand, it's not.
Oh.
We're the, in
Yeah.
our league, we're the only municipally funded.
Okay, okay. So that means that we can do it a different way.
And it's that way because it was long before sports was a part of the town. There was HYA. The town took in HYA, therefore the town took in all of it. It wasn't, we're not gonna take this, we're not gonna take this, we're gonna take it all. Good, bad, or indifferent. And there's not been a decision since that it was brought in. It was always
That's just
the
what
whole
it is.
enchilada.
Right.
I don't know, it sounds like it's a very successful program and a lot of kids are enjoying it, like adults, I see them posting on Facebook, like, I'm not seeing where the issue's coming in. It's not like Rob is coming knocking on our door every meeting saying like, we need to get rid of it because this is too much or whatever. It's like, it seems like there's some conversations here and there, but like, if you're all thinking of doing this, that will affect a lot of people, maybe we need to kind of look at what the numbers and what the issue is. Like if Rob, you tell us that this is really bad and we need to make a change here, then let's look into it.
I mean, and if we're going
Otherwise-
down the path of, these aren't our kids, then I want us to put a gate at the Harrisburg Park. And you tell me, sorry, you're from university, this doesn't apply to you. You're not allowed to come to our park, because we can't do that,
Right.
No.
right? We have a program,
Yeah.
and we let everybody come. But if we're gonna go down that road of saying, who can play, who can't play, then let's put a gate on Harrisburg Park and start telling me, because I don't know how many of y'all have driven through on a Sunday evening and looked at all the garbage that is left from the surrounding area that comes in. It's Harrisburg, it's Concord, it's Charlotte, you name it. And they leave a god-awful mess behind.
I mean, I hear and see that comment a lot about the condition of Harrisburg Park, and I don't want to pivot too much, but we spend a lot of time at Harrisburg Park, and there are a lot of people that go to Hickory Ridge Elementary School at Harrisburg Park. So I'll leave that there. But the other part to this is, so it's our people leaving our park dirty. But Pop Warner, still, my concern with it is it has its own rules. To your earlier point, we have no control of any of that. It doesn't run like any of our other programs because it cannot run in that way. Coupled with, like the other point you made, we want to feed into our schools. We're feeding into somebody's schools, but it's not Hickory Ridge, middle or high. I hear you and how the origin of how it came into Harrisburg athletics, but as we're trying to figure out, you know, even what our Harrisburg athletics look like, our programs look like going forward, I just don't see why do we need to keep Pop Warner as it is with us?
serves a purpose today, and they've never been told that we did not need them. I mean, I go back to what Alteen said, they're not knocking on the door. All this initially started with, first it was, God, the fees were crazy to get into this playoff game. Well, the fees were crazy because they came to Charlotte this year, or last year. They were here the last 2 years. It pivots from location to location. And then when it gets like that, well, hey, how many of these kids are really our kids? Well, hey, I mean, it's sustaining itself. We've shown that it pays for itself. It provides opportunity for the kids. Whether you say it's not all of our kids, it's part of our kids, it doesn't match up, then make the motion to remove it. That's all I can tell you. If you don't think it does.
Wouldn't this go under the same platform that we've done everything else, if it's, at where we stand on it as a council, like we've done every other item we've done tonight? Is there an expectation this will be done differently?
No, I think these budgets are always set up in a consensus format. So, I've heard kind of 4 people speak and 4 not, and 2 have been like, hey, I don't want to see any change, and 2 have said maybe we look at a long-term transition. So, I've not interjected to the conversation so far, but yeah, I mean, that's generally, for this year, from a budgeting standpoint, it's budgeted for.
Right.
We're running it
Right.
as I think budget process is the time to talk about, like, we're not going to reach out as staff and say, hey, we need to work on a transition plan unless a strong consensus of council is like, hey, we need to transition. If they were to come to us, if Pop Warner's, board was to come to us, say, hey, we want it, we'd bring that to you guys and say, hey, look, they want to take the pole position and have us in the secondary seat. I think most of the things I've heard are all valid. Historically, we've always done it. It's a successful program. It's good marketing for the town. Also, most of the kids are not from Harrisburg. It does not match up with our other programs. Those are all true things, and we can run it successfully.
Yeah, but
We could also transition it successfully.
Since when are we worried about if it's our kids or not? Like, I remember when we were discussing a piece of land that was close to, like, in south of Harrisburg, and it was close to Charlotte, and I think somebody made a comment, well, then all the Charlotte people are gonna come up. And I know several council members were like, well, what do you have against Charlotte, right? Because our parks are for everyone. So since when are we saying like, oh, there's some kids in there that are not ours, or I don't know what percentages, like that we're not doing a program?
They're paying a different price. The kids that are not ours, that are not Harrisburg, they're paying a higher price to come play. There's when the program continues to grow, and this year, Jim, what's the number this year?
We're gonna cap it at 300.
300,
Yeah,
right?
300.
Yeah.
Several years ago, it was at 60, it was at 70, it was at 80. And then we saw 125. Next jump was 175, and I think every coach that was associated with Harrisburg Cowboys was scouring Gastonia, Charlotte, Salisbury, every surrounding town looking for helmets. And the town actually was writing checks back because we had to accommodate for those helmets. It's a successful program. I just don't understand why you walk away and leave it alone based on it's doing what it's doing. I mean, and it works. And if the kids keep coming, there's a need for it.
I don't hear a consensus either way, but if anybody wants to jump in on a
No, look,
consensus
I'm listening intently, and I think it has a halo effect for Harrisburg. I like it when I drive over the Kannapolis Library, and they don't check my ID when I walk in. It's Kannapolis, it's cool. I think we might want to do more recruiting in the future, say, hey, kids, we've got this wonderful program, you're right here in Harrisburg, do an outreach program, and so maybe we can increase the population. It doesn't really bother me if somebody comes from Concord to play in Harrisburg, as long as they win. So, I do think that and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. We've got a good facility, we've got a well-run program, we know what the heck we're doing. So Pop Warner gets benefit out of it, we get benefit out of it. I'm not juiced up about it. As long as we're not getting taken advantage of, you know.
And we fixed that years ago. We made sure that it wasn't a drain on the town finances.
Right.
We went back and said, okay, we've got to change the partnership so that we're not offsetting the cost.
Right. And I made the comment, oh yeah, you get to use our $2 million, dollars of facilities that we have. That's fine. That's what they're for. So I like it, and I took great pride when the Harrisburg Cowboys were playing, whether they were ringers from out of town or not. That was fine. So I don't have a problem with it as long as we're not funding, unduly somebody else's, war chest, which it doesn't sound like we are. I mean, they're covering the cost, our cost.
Strong denial.
We'll add it to
Let's move
the
on.
retreat
It's late.
discussion.
It's 8:12. Where are we in these 44 slides?
Parking lot, but-
I got about 10 more minutes for you all.
I'll just flip this one real quick again, nothing that you haven't seen already, but stormwater, talking about some specific new fees related to illicit discharge, working without a permit, violation of stop work orders. All those are issues that we currently don't have in place, but this will lay them in.
All right, and a wrap-up slide before I turn it back to everybody. I think tonight's a great example of the first bullet point here is that we were very thorough and transparent, and tonight was very engaging. We spent a lot of hours doing this, and we don't leave any stone unturned. We circle back on things quite a bit and have them out. So 24 total hours of public engagement in this year's budget process. Our proposal in the managed recommended budget is to freeze the tax rate and hold it at 41 cents, as we promised with the FY25 revaluation. The total operating budget, and this is just operations, if you exclude our capital, which kind of goes up and down and doesn't have a year-to-year impact, the general fund, water, sewer, storm combined is 51.98 million, which is a 2% decrease over our current budget of 53.03 million. That is the revised budget, so we have had the budget amendments and things come in the operations, but our goal is always to be below our growth rate. Our growth rate is kind of steady at that 5%. I think if you look at our base versus before budget amendments, it's only going up about 3.5%, right in that range. But if you count our budget amendments, it's actually a year-to-year decrease, which would be the second year in a row where we were able to achieve some operating budget decreases through efficiencies, attrition, and just doing things a little better than our neighbors are. We do have the 5% rate increase to the water and sewer, one-time refund, getting rid of that $100, was it reconnect fees? Is that what we call it?
$45 deposit.
Yeah, we're getting rid of the 100 as well, right?
The one-time forgiveness,
Right.
yeah.
And so we're eliminating some fees that are kind of a pain in our side. I've had several of those emails this week. Every month, I just don't think we get what we need out of that, but we'll keep an eye on it. I think eliminating those fees will help us operationally and make our customers more satisfied. Current service levels are going to be maintained. Actually, I think we will increase most of those across the board while still meeting our adopted mission, vision, values, and goals. The major significant investments that we have over the next 1 year is the $1.2 million in Highway 49 Roberta Veterans Mitigation, doing the design for that, as well as $1 million, just over $1 million in Greenway sidewalk and pedestrian projects, and over $1 million in our signage, monuments, public art, street trees, and lighting upgrades. The rest of the budget calendar is very straightforward. After tonight, we'll take all the feedback that we got here. We'll turn that around into the manager's recommended budget, which I will present at a public hearing on May 11th. After that public hearing, it'll remain open for public comment until the June 8th council meeting. We'll take any feedback that we get there at the May 11th meeting, make any adjustments that we need to, and be ready for adoption June 8th, 3 weeks before our 4th of July celebration. Are there any questions?
I got one thing I do want to say, and, One, thank you, Rob, and thank you, staff, for making this yet another easy process. But for those of us in this room, we're not immune to the high political climate that we all live in today. And I thank God every single night that I go to bed that I live in Harrisburg, because if you look in Kannapolis, if you look in Concord, if you look at the county, go as far as North Myrtle Beach, go as far as Rocky Mount, there are towns fighting day in and day out, aggravated, mad, upset. We don't have any of those problems. And it's nice to live in a wonderful town. I don't say that we don't have problems, I say it, we're not showing our butts, we're not on TV, we're not in the paper.
Literally.
Right? So,
We all wear pants.
yeah.
All in favor, aye.
Any other council comments before we move to our two folks in the public, if they want to speak this evening? Just make sure you state your name and address for the record.
Water Wallace, 3, 093 Spring Forest Road, Harrisburg, North Carolina. Just a couple of questions here. Talking about solid waste, how long is that contract for? Is that annually, or is that for a 4-year period?
I think it's 3-year.
5.
Is it 5?
5, and we are 4 into it.
I'm sorry?
5 years, and we're 4 years into that.
So we got 1 year before, is that 27 and then 28?
Yeah, we'll start a new one in 28.
Okay, all right. You may have covered this, and I may have not been able to hear it clearly. We talk about, did you agree on the additional 50,000 on the Greenway or not? Stay at 250?
It's a great question. I believe it's at 250, and if we need it, come back and ask for
Talk
more.
about increasing it to 300, so what did y'all decide?
It's staying at 250 with the option to bring projects back specifically.
Okay. Then we get into the
park, I guess you called it, out front. My question there is, when we did property taxes, again, the $6 million that was supposedly put aside for parks is, when you were looking at that the $2 million, was that part of that money?
No.
Okay. My point is it really a park? Okay? Because
Yes.
when you look at it, that's a pretty small area. I know y'all discussed this, all right? But my question is, who would use it and what would you use it for? It's a small space. I realize that through the surveys and all the other discussion that the public wants parks, but that is not what I envisioned when we talked about parks, okay? Now, maybe I'm misinterpreting something. So that's my take on it, all right? And I think y'all made the right decision with the third deal, okay? On the facade, is that for all businesses or just new businesses?
All businesses.
Well, are you sure that's?
Not new.
It's just new businesses, I think, isn't it?
It is not new businesses.
All businesses, okay, all right,
All existing businesses.
okay. That 2% reduction that you were talking about up there, does that include, or did the budget, I can't remember, include the 2 million? Or was that just the 700,000 in the budget? Or was it the 2 million?
They're separate. So what I showed, and James turned my clicker off because he must have thought I was going to click you. But what I showed was operations, not capital expenditures.
Okay.
So our capital varies year to year. It's hard to look year to year in capital expenditures, and we cash flow all that. This is what it costs to operate all of our funds, but those are operating funds. A
Okay.
park expansion or a roadway, a new roadway, something like that would go in a capital fund.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ollie.
Jim Eskew, 8010 Wacomic Court. Just wanted to say, appreciate the thoughtfulness that goes into this process, and that we are more than happy to help create a list of prioritized projects that would benefit from that extra 50 or 100K in the annual Greenway program. Sounds like that doesn't exist today. We'd love to help get that in a good place so that those dollars are used responsibly and effectively. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? We didn't go too far over tonight. So thanks, everybody, for the dialogue tonight. Rob, anything else? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.